The last section for this chapter is 5.8, which is graphing absolute values. This lesson is going to be quick, but again, you've got to do your part to study it and memorize it. This is our first experience with what we call parent functions. What a parent function is a graph that has a general particular shape that we will manipulate by shifting it, moving it up, down, left, right, or making it more thin, more narrow, or flipping it upside down. So this is a introduction to stuff that you're going to be doing for a lot of your algebra experience. Your first parent function is the graph of absolute value, which is y equals absolute value of x. This absolute value function, if we were to make a key chart, which you probably want to put this on your graph there, or on your notes there, using -1, 0, and 1. If I plug -1 in, remember that absolute value rewrites the number that I assign, which means that -1 would come out as a regular 1. If I put a 0 in there, of course, 0 comes out. The absolute value of 1 is also 1. Remember again, absolute value is the symbol where it takes the sign and just eliminates it. So the absolute value of -7 is 7. The absolute value of -8 is 8, and so on. So those would be your 3 points. Plotting those 3 points, -1, 1 would be here. I'm not going to worry about labeling it because it's just general notes. 0, 0 is here, and 1, 1 is 1 over and 1 up. And what you do from that is you attach those two sets of lines. It shouldn't look that bad on your notes, but it's just a v. Pretty much the absolute value function is a v. The way I remember that is that it's absolute value, and it's the only graph that is shaped like a v. So again, absolute value is shaped like a v, and that would be your parent function. And the point that we're going to focus on is what we call the vertex, which is 0, 0. It's the middle point, and it's the point that starts at the origin. Once you learn that that's your point, go over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, and draw your v. That is how you draw the general shape of your parent function absolute value. This graph is not going to be stretched or flipped over yet, but it will be moved, slid over left to right, up or down, and learning those movements is what your main objective is for the day. Pretty much, thinking again that I'd try to teach you using more common sense than anything else, there are two worlds that we think of whenever we're manipulating parent functions. There's an inside world and an outside world. We've already kind of learned about the outside world already. This would be a outside world 2, which we learned tells us to go up 2. That was what we learned when we started graphing lines, that this 2 means go up. It's a y-intercept. And then this slope of 1 means go up 1 over 1, which then when you make your graph, again, you don't need to graph this. This is just me kind of reviewing what you already know. We also know what this -3 means to go down 3, and a slope of 1 means go up 1 over 1. And again, what we're looking at here is the fact that we have a regular line that in this case was shifted up 2, and this line was shifted down 3. But again, the line is the same, it's just moved. It's moved up or down that line based off of that number. So you've already dealt with parent functions in terms of the outside world number, which again, that outside number tells to go up or down based off of it. So with that said, it works the same for the absolute value graph. When you have the absolute value of x plus 3, and this is a outside 3, this outside 3 is telling us to move 1, 2, 3 up because it is your y-intercept. It's telling me to move up 3, but that's my home number, the 0, 0. So what I do from there is go over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, and again, forgive the terrible V's that I'm going to be drawing, but you have enough time to do that. But that is your absolute value graph right there. It's an absolute value graph that has been moved up 3. Here, the outside number is -4, which tells us to go 1, 2, 3, 4 down. From there, I go over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, and I again complete the picture of the V, which is the absolute value graph. And that is pretty much it. That's all there is for the outside number. The outside number usually isn't the case or isn't the situation that gives people issues. It's the inside number, and it's whenever after you've seen them both that you start mixing up which one's which. Just remember again that the outside number is attached to y, because that's what it means. Like I said, every time you've graphed, even on the lines, that outside number tells you to go up or tells you to go down. The inside world is different, and that's because it works the opposite of what we would naturally expect. For example, in equation y equals absolute value of x plus 6, where the 6 is on the inside, this is not a positive 6. It works like a -6, so make sure you write that. in the equation y equals absolute value of x minus 4. Yes, this is a negative 4, but it does not work like a negative 4. It actually works like a positive 4. So one of the things you're going to have to remember when it comes to the inside numbers is that the inside number actually works the opposite of what you would expect. Also, because it is in the grouping symbol with the x, this moves your x direction, which would be left or right. Alright, so once we see this, then it's going to kind of hopefully bring some things together, and you'll get to practice and get some things done on your work. So with this said, y equals absolute value of x plus 3. Again, this plus 3 on the inside works just like a negative 3, which means that a negative 3 on the x-axis is not right, it is actually left. So you go 1, 2, 3 to the left, because again that is moving x the opposite direction, which is in the negative direction. Again, from there, over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, complete your v. That's it. Over here, x minus 2. This 2 works like a positive 2, which in terms of x means go right 2, just like you learned how you did your x-intercept. So that 2 is your x-intercept, or your x number moving right 2, which means from there we go over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, and we complete the v like we've been doing. So looking at that, what all that means is that you just got to make sure that you know how to move those things appropriately. The last type of graph, which is on the back side of your sheet, I believe, asks you to move both directions. Now this is just where your organization comes in. That's why I've always circled the outside number, because I know what that's telling me to do. This negative 3 here is telling me to go down 3. But I also have a second number that's telling me to go back 2, not right 2, because remember plus 2 means it's a negative 2. So what you're going to do is go 3 down, because of that negative 3, and 2 left, because that's a negative 2. So you go 1, 2, 3 down, 2 left. That's your home. Now you go over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, and you complete your V the same as all the other pictures. And that's all it takes. Alright. So again, you just got to make sure you understand that means down, that means left. If you got to write it down, that's fine. Just do what you need to do to organize yourself and get it under control, because it's not a hard question to answer as long as you care about actually getting it right. Here, that plus 2 means we're going to go 2 up. This negative 1, remember, is not a true negative 1. It is actually a plus 1, which means 1 to the right, which means we go 2 up and 1 right, which puts my home there. From there I go over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, and then I make the V based off of that. Now, when I'm saying that you should be able to get it, it doesn't mean that if you don't get it, that something's wrong. It simply means that if you don't get it, make sure you use me, because I can't put everything on the video that can possibly be discussed. Otherwise, these would be 30 and 45-minute videos. What it's meaning is, if you're having issues, come over, talk to me about it. I can try to get your understanding under control, and from there I should be able to try to get you on track, and you should be okay. So other than that, Math XL is waiting for you. There are also some of those scatter plot questions. So but like I said, the rest of the week is going to be a mix of you doing the work that I give you to be done in class, and then catching up on your homework. So other than that, it's time to start studying for this test, which is Friday in this class. So good luck.